SpaceX is building a gigantic rocket, 400 feet tall, down in Boca Chica, Texas. It's Starbase. And I spent about 10 months there. And I want to share these experiences with you. I think everybody that I met down there was really nice. I don't think there was only one person. And this is the interesting thing. This is the funny thing that I want to tell you. It was a couple days before Elon did his February 2022 talk about the state of Starbase and SpaceX's Starship. So I was there to cover the event. I was there to cover the stacking of the Starship, all that stuff. I was right down there. I was in the trenches for like 10 months. And this is the thing. I parked right around here, actually. It was like, I was trying to get a shot. You can kind of get a good shot from like right around here. And if you look over, you can see the orbital launch mount over here, right? The orbital launch pad, the orbital launch mount, you can see everything stacked up. And I was filming from over here. And for some reason, there was this lady, and this is a weird story. I don't want to blow it up or anything, but I parked my car behind her. She was in a van. I parked behind her. And I think I divulged this in another live stream before, but I want to talk about it because I think it's kind of funny, but it's also like this characteristic of some people at Starbase, and not a lot of them. Only a few people are sketchy at this place. Most people are super nice. So I want to tell you about the sketchy person that I met. And when I parked behind her, I just got my gear out. I had a big tripod. I had a big camcorder, and I had a camera, a 4K video camera with like a big lens, like a 600 millimeter lens. And I started getting the stuff out of my backpack like I normally do every day. Every single day. I would do that every day. And it's a normal occurrence. Like that's my job. I'm a YouTuber and I go to Starbase and I film it. So I'm just doing my job and I'm just start setting up on the side of the road like everybody else does. It's nobody's property. It's public property. You can do whatever you want to, right? I park behind her. I'm about a car length away from her. She gets out of her van, starts yelling at me because I'm parked too close to her van. I'm like, oh yeah, well, let me get this shot real quick. Just give me like 5 minutes and I'll leave. I didn't want to make any trouble. I didn't want to talk to her. I just wanted to like do my thing and then leave. So I set up my gear, and as I'm setting up my gear, she started yelling at me, right? She started yelling at me, telling me that I'm mean to her and that I'm a bad person and all. They just start swearing at me and stuff. And I'm setting up my cameras, setting up my equipment. I wanted to get 3 different angles, right? I wanted to do like a time lapse. I wanted to do all sorts of fun stuff so I could bring it to you guys. And I'm just setting up. So she comes up to me and you can hear her. I took the video down because I didn't want that sort of drama on my channel because I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think it's a weird thing. Like I don't want to call anybody out like that. And I don't want them to be on camera if they don't want to be on camera, but you could hear her audio. She wasn't on camera. I didn't film her, but you could hear her audio. And she's yelling at me. She's calling me, telling me that I'm irresponsible. And she's waited all day for her friends to get here. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll just back up my car. Like, how many friends do you have coming in? And then I'll just back my car up and they can have this spot. I just want to film here. You know, just let me put my camera here and I'm going to just back up a couple spots. So she said she's been waiting all day. And I looked at my watch and I was like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, it's not all day. Like, it's still morning. I was like, it's still early morning. And she's in like, I'm just going to preface all of this, well, middle preface here, with that she was mad. She wasn't even just asking me. She was yelling at me. And I was being very calm about it and just saying, hey, I'll work with you here. I just have to get this done today because this is an important thing. Elon's going to be talking, I think it was February 9th or 10th or something like that I was down there. And I said, Elon's going to be talking tomorrow or the next day. So I need to get this shot so I can post a video about it because that's how I pay my rent. Literally, that's how I pay my rent. So she was yelling at me, blasting me the whole time. And I'm just like, I'm just going to work with you. We're going to figure this out. But I just need to get this thing done. And I set my cameras up and she told me to move. She told me I move back. I actually moved my car back 2 spots. And like I left my camera gear there, which was a silly thing to do. But I left my camera gear there because it was all set up and I was trying to live stream. So everything was set up. It's a big process to get all that stuff. It takes like 20 minutes to get all set up. And I just set it up there and I was like, I'm just jumping in my car, going to pull back a couple spots and I'll run back up to my my gear and then we'll figure it all out. So I pull back 2 spots, then I go up to my gear and I start filming, and I'm out of the way. I'm on a hill away from the side of the road. Literally, probably, 2 cars could fit in there easily, right? So I'm sitting there at my camera, zooming in, getting everything ready for the shot, and I'm prepping all my gear, and I start rolling. I get about 10 seconds in. She comes out of her van. She's red in the face at this point. She's red, like just crazy looking, like psycho. She's going crazy. And she looked at me and she said, "That's not far enough." And she yelled at me, pointed at me, and pointed at my car. And I said, "I pulled back 2 spots. There should be plenty of room for your friends." And she said, "That's not enough room. You need to go." And I was like, "What? No, I got to get this shot. I'm going to do this and then I'll leave. How about that?" I was like, "I'm going to be here for 10 minutes. I'm going to get this shot and I'm going to leave." Right. So she's yelling at me. She picks up her phone and goes into her driver's side. So I'm like, okay, I can just do like a still shot here. I can get like a time lapse. So I set everything up for a time lapse and just basically leave your camera there for a time lapse. Right. And so I went up to her car and I wanted to reconcile and I wanted to figure out what I was doing wrong so I could fix it. So I went up to her driver's side and I was like, hey, I was like, I'll be done in 10 minutes. I'll be out of there. Okay. And it went like that. I was like, 10 minutes and I'll be gone. And I was like, I'll be gone. Okay. And then I was just trying to rectify the situation, try to figure it all out. And she looks at me and she's on her phone and she said, "I'm on the phone." I said, "Okay, I'll be gone in 10 minutes. And at that point, I'm like, I can't win this one, right? I can't win. There's no way I can win. And she stayed in her car. I went back to my cameras. I'm only like 10 feet away. I'm like half a car length away from my cameras at this point. I can see them. It's not dangerous. I'm on the side of the road. My car is close by. Everything's good, right? So I go back to my cameras and I start live streaming for a little bit. The signal's not that great. So I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to take off. I'm not going to live stream anymore because it doesn't seem like the right thing to do. Like with her, all this drama and stuff, I'll just kind of like not do it. So I didn't want to bring that drama to the masses. So I just stopped streaming and I just started recording. Not a big deal. And then she got out of her car, walked around to her passenger side. And I was like, hey, I didn't mean to make any trouble with you or anything. Like I didn't want to inconvenience you or your friends. So I moved back a little bit and I hope that's enough space for you. I just have about 5 more minutes of filming to do and then I'm going to leave. So I'm sorry if I offended you in any way, but I was trying to fix the situation. And then she said, "You're not fixing anything." And these are kind of like, it was a little while ago. So it might not be exactly perfect with her wording, but she said, "You're not fixing effing anything. You're making it effing worse." And then she flipped me off and then got into the back of her van and did something. I'm not sure. And I was like, I can't win this. There's no way I can win this. And I wasn't trying to win anything. Like I wasn't trying to what am I going to win? Am I going to win anything? Like she's just hanging out and I'm hanging out. Right. So I'm just kind of like chilling and my camera's going like, what just happened? Right. Like what is happening right now? And down here, they're stacking up Starship at the landing pad, the launch pad, the orbital launch mount. And they're doing some construction and stuff right next to me and huge amount of people, press corps are coming in. Like there's news vans across the street. Everybody's doing their thing. But for some reason, this lady singled me out and went like ballistic on me. Right. So this doesn't end right away. So I'm like right there doing my thing, filming, and she got out of her car again, yelled at me one more time, told me that I need to go or else something. And I didn't understand what she said, but I need to go. You need to go or else, because her friends are coming into town and she's been waiting all day for them and she can't have me there. And I said, I'm not leaving. Like, why would I leave? Like, I got stuff to do. So I stayed at my camera for another 5-10 minutes and I got the shots that I wanted to get. And right as I was kind of chilling out, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay here and kind of getting settled in. I was like, she can't, like, what's she going to do? She's like, she's not going to kick me out. She might come out and like, whatever, but I got cameras. Like, so, like, she's going to be on camera. Like, she's going to be on film. So, whatever. So, she went back into her car and she was talking on her phone. And then all of a sudden, a Jeep pulls up. Right? A Jeep pulls up behind her van. And a lovely woman got out, and her partner got out of the driver's seat. And I was like, oh, hey, are you there to see this lady? Like, I was like, hey, how's it going, guys? And they were like, oh, great. How are you doing? And I said, oh, great. And I was like, are you her friends? And they said, no. I said, oh, okay. They were literally parked like bumper to bumper at this point. They were probably like this far apart. So they pulled in, and they were cool. They're really nice. They're from Maine, actually. I think it was Maine, someplace up north. Maine or Rhode Island. I can't remember at this point. But they pulled in, and they were super nice. The lady was a birder, so she was there to take photos of birds. And apparently, this area right around here is a mecca for bird watching. This whole area right here is a mecca for bird watching. And also, South Padre Island up here is someplace on this is a mecca for bird watching. I didn't know that. I just thought everyone came down here to see the rockets. So I explained to them what I was doing down there. I'm here to see the rockets. And they were like, rockets? They're like, what do you mean? And I was like, look over there. I was like, there's a rocket. They didn't even know that it was the rocket production facility right there. They were just there for the birds. And it was great because we had a great conversation and it was really fun. And the lady in the van took off. So she's gone. I'm hanging out with the birder and her husband. And we're talking about like Boca Chica Boulevard. And we're talking about South Padre Island. I had a great time. Talking about the rockets and how cool it's going to be when they actually launch and when they stack this thing and all this. It was a great conversation. I had the time of my life after that lady. And I explained to them, I was like, look, watch out for that van. She's going to the next level with you. So be careful if you see that van again. So I do believe the road was blocked off. And that's why I was up here that day. I believe the road was blocked off I think it was for Elon and his crew to come in to do the talk. So, and like for everybody to like set it up and stuff. So unfortunately, I got COVID before the talk, so I couldn't attend it. I was invited. I had like the email for the invite, and I got all ready and stuff. I had my backpack actually packed with all my gear and stuff. And I was like, I was gonna head down, and I was like, well, I'm like, I got like a stuffy nose and like a runny nose, and I wasn't sick at all during that whole time. And I was like, I got a runny nose, so I'm going to take a COVID test. Took a COVID test, super positive. Great. I have COVID. The day of Elon's big talk at Starbase, like one of the coolest things that I could have ever done. I got COVID that day. And I took another test a little bit later because the talk was a little bit later on at the day. And again, it was positive. So I was like, I don't want to get anybody sick. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But the whole story of that lady, that was one of the weird and wild things that happened when I was at Starbase, Texas. And I hope you found this entertaining because the story is real fun. And it's a little bit different than my news stuff. It's a little bit more candid than my news stuff. But I think sort of the idea that SpaceX and Starbase is in the middle of nowhere and you can expect anything down there, I think that's something that's important to note for future visits if you're going to go visit Starbase. So I want to say thanks for listening this whole time and for being part of this. And if you liked it, please hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're on right now and hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. So thanks everybody for listening. And I hope you found that entertaining. Leave a message, leave a little note down below, a little comment for me. If you want to know anything about Starbase, I'll try to answer as much as I can. But I was there for almost a year straight in Brownsville. I was living in Brownsville. So unfortunately, I had to leave due to family stuff. I needed to be closer to my family, basically. So I'm not down there anymore, but I spent a lot of time there. And that was one of the fun stories. And I have a lot more. So if you want more, leave it in the comments. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon.